Hello everyone. So as part of today's session, we are going to create a database in RDS. So for that, log into your AWS account, select the region as Northern Virginia and type RDS in the search box. Then click on this link, which will open the RDS UI for creating the databases. So once you have this dashboard visible, then click on the Create Database button. Here, while creating a database, let's select the standard create option, which will give you a complete view of creating a database. Now, there are hundreds of different databases in the market, but AWS only supports the following databases. For this particular session, we are going to use MySQL as our database engine. We are not going to change the engine version. We are using the default option. Then, when creating a database, you have to select a template. Let's select free tier because for the other options, we will have to incur some cost. With the free tier, we don't have to pay any money for creating this database. Then once you click on free tier, then this deployment options are automatically disabled and a single DB instance is being created. And I've explained all of the other options in my theoretical lectures. So let's move on to the settings part. In the settings, keep the default database name, keep the default username as admin. We will select a password. Let's give it a password. I have given the password as password. I will ask everyone to keep the same password, which is password, PASSWORD, so that you don't forget it and then figure out what is the right one. Then, since we have used the free tier, the instance configuration is automatically selected for us, which is T3 micro. Don't change this, otherwise, we will have to incur cost. From a storage perspective, we will use the default 20 GB of SSD storage. Let's disable the auto scaling option for now. We are not going to connect it to a EC2 instance as part of this activity. So let's keep it as it is. Now, the most important thing to note over here is we want to give this database public access, which means that a public IP will be assigned and you will be able to access this database from anywhere. Another important thing is we will choose a new VPC security group. So let's give it a name, RDS Security Group 1. Okay. I am okay with any availability zone, so I'm not giving any preference over here. From authentication perspective, we are using the default password-based authentication. And I think those are the settings for creating the database. And let's click on Create Database button. It will take at least 3 to 5 minutes for creating the database. And once everything is done, then you will see the status of the database to be available. So let's give it some time for the database to be in a available state. So now if we check our database, so it is in the available state. So click on this database link and we will get the endpoint of the database. We need this endpoint because we now want to connect to this database from our local machine and create a database on this RDS instance. Once you have copied this, now on your local machine, open this application called as DB Weaver. So we have already installed this application as part of our previous lectures. If you have not installed it, then download DB Weaver from in the internet and install it on your machine. Once you install it, then you will see a UI like this. Go to the database menu, click on no database connection, select MySQL as your database engine. Then on the server host, you have to enter the database endpoint that you have copied. The port is by default 3306. We are not going to provide the database name. Our username is admin. The password is password. And we will click on test connection. If you are doing it for the first time, then it will give you an option to download the MySQL driver. Complete the process of downloading that driver. So here I see that the test connection succeeded. It means that there are no connectivity related issues and I am able to connect to this database. Press on OK and then click on finish. So we have now connected to our RDS instance. What we are trying to do over here is create a database on this RDS instance. So expand this the database, expand on this part. You will see a default database called sys. Right click on this database and you will see create new database. Give it a name called test. Ensure that you give the correct name test because we are going to use this database for storing the data. A database got created. Expand this. If you look at the tables, there are no tables as of now. We are going to create the tables via our Spring Boot application. So we are not going to do this step as of now. Hello everyone. So now we have created the database. So the next step is to create a EC2 instance and connect that database with this EC2 instance. So for that, in your search bar, type EC2 and open the EC2 dashboard. Once the dashboard is open, then click on Launch Instance to create a new EC2 instance. So we have performed this activity multiple times now, so I will move a little faster. So you will have to give a name like test EC2. Select an operating system. So we will use Amazon Linux, which is the default one. No changes over here. Instance type, we want to use this T2 micro, which is free tier eligible. You will definitely need a key pair because we need to connect to this EC2 instance via SSH. So I already have a key pair. So let's select EC2 PuTTY. Now, from a network perspective, we will use the default VPC, no preference on the subnet, auto assign public address. We will create a new security group and ensure that you have allowed SSH and allowed HTTP. This is really important because we need SSH for running the CLI commands and we need HTTP because we will be running a Tomcat server on this machine to perform operations on our application. So ensure that you have selected SSH and you have selected HTTP. Okay. Now we want 8 GB of storage. This is good enough for us. And let's create this instance. Once the instance is created, you will see a link for the same here on this page. Yeah, so we see it here, and then you can click on this option. Now, in the new version of this UI, you will see an option here also connect to a database. Okay, but we will skip this part. We will go via the standard way so that even if that option is not visible, we can connect to a RDS. So once you click on that link, then you will see a new tab opened and you will see your instance. Select this instance and go to actions and go to networking and you will see an option to connect RDS database. Click on that option. You will see here two roles, cluster and instance. Since we just created a single RDS instance and not a cluster, so we will select instance over here. We will see our database which was created, database 1, and then you just say connect. So this is how you connect your EC2 and your database. While this is happening, you will see that there were some changes to the security group which was done. Okay, so let's go and check our database, and let's look at the security group of the database. This is really important because this will ensure that your EC2 is able to connect to your database. So once you are on the database screen, you will see the security groups. There are two security groups. This is the one that we created, and this is the another one. Okay. So if you get any trouble while connecting to your database from the EC2 instance, then definitely come and check your security groups. Okay. So if I look at the security group, then it says that this security group, and what are my inbound rules. Inbound rules is 3306 port is enabled. Okay, and if I click on edit inbound rules, you will see that I am able to access port 3306 from this particular instance. Let's cancel this. Okay, I think that's all from a connectivity perspective.